3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, I'm interior designer Cathy Hobbs, owner of Cathy Hobbs Design Recipes, an interior design and home staging company based in New York City. But before that, I was a newscaster, mostly in New York, and welcome to The Real, where I help people harness the power of video, always with a special guest. And my guest on this episode is one of my dearest friends, Scott Harris. Scott is a licensed associate real estate broker for Brown Harris Stevens in New York City. But what Scott really is a savvy and innovative entrepreneur who I have known for more than a decade and have experienced firsthand how he has literally exploded his business. The Harris residential team represents the philosophy of visionary brokerage. Let's learn more about Scott Harris and how you too can 10x your business. Scott,
hey, Cathy.
We are still standing here, my friend. How long has it been? More than a decade.
At least, gosh. I had a few less gray hairs back then, but I'm still going strong.
I think we both did. So we are always talking, the two of us privately, about ways to grow our businesses. We help each other. We give each other advice. And so I'm so glad that you are here. Because I want you to share with everyone what you have done with your business, which I have seen and watched, and I think it's so powerful. Before we start on that, though, I want to ask you, how did you get into real estate?
Well, first, thank you very much for having me here. It's a lot of fun to get to talk about the business, not just in the context of real estate, but to talk about it to all entrepreneurs. How I got started in real estate was pretty simple. My family, we used to sit around the kitchen table and talk about commercial real estate. My father owns warehouses, and so he has a wholesale hardware business. He always had tenants, and he talked about that. And ultimately, I was more in love with architecture and interior design growing up in New Orleans, where you can basically step into Europe while you're sitting in America. So I was surrounded by beautiful wrought iron and old buildings from the 1800s, and really a city that is very different than the rest of America. And then as I was getting into sales and I was in the music business, as I was moving from Boston to New York, people know you much better than you know yourself. They said, Scott, you're great in sales. Have you ever considered getting into real estate? And I never had. And I trusted some of my mentors to take a shot at real estate. And it was just, as they say, it was like a light went on, and it really, the rest is history. I love it. I love the people. I love getting to help them find their dream homes. I often tell the story that I had a realization years into real estate that one of the reasons I get so excited about helping people find their dream home is that when I was growing up, my parents got divorced, like half of America. And that feeling of being able to help people move forward in their lives, I always wanted that home as a kid. It didn't always have that perfect home. And so helping people is just been it's always been a wonderful thing. But I got started, just somebody thought it'd be a great idea, and it sure was.
How have you seen the real estate business really grow since when you started? I remember a time when if you wanted to see a house, you had to read the Sunday paper. And then you made a phone call, and then you set an appointment on the phone, to go to an open house. How have you seen that transition, especially as it relates to reaching out to your customers and being able to really service them?
Right. So when you started, when we started in this business, I started in 2002, 2003. what you're describing, the classified ads, I think of as web 1.0, real estate 1.0, where we actually ran ads in the classifieds. People called us. I was just at the very end of that, where people actually didn't have smartphones. The immediate transition was into the world of smartphones, where you might have email at your office, but you had on the go the ability to at least have phone calls. And so quickly morphed into advertising on platforms like Craigslist and your website. And there was a little bit of advertising, still a ton of phone. But then between then and say 2012, 2013, we started to move into where a much more mature web 2.0, and to the point where now most buyers are very active on their phones, first and foremost. And there was an antiquated notion even 10 years ago that 90% of people started their search online, which is so funny because, of course, 100% of people are starting looking for their real estate online. 100%, 110%. I mean, people are thinking about real estate. They start to look, and now there's a way where people know, okay, if you're starting to look at this website and this, artificial intelligence will say that person's looking for a home, so they can anticipate the home search.
Well, I remember when people were really bucking technology. These days, if you aren't on the forefront, and I don't mean just what everyone else is doing, if you're not cutting edge, if you're not essentially a leader, then that really is the differentiator, would you say?
I've won so much business over the years, Cathy, because we're thinking about real estate in a different way. We're hungry to learn what is the newest way to reach our audience. So if a buyer is looking, we want to speak to them in the way we want that they're listening for. So there's no question that you have to stay ahead of technology and the best way to reach your audience.
I am always surprised when people don't realize that being a real estate agent is being an entrepreneur, that you're essentially the owner of your own business that you can run, manage, market however you want. How would you say that you have really embraced that entrepreneurship concept as it relates to your business?
Well, I'll start by saying that I've always been an entrepreneur, no matter what I was doing, whether I was selling cookies as a kid, whether I was selling raffle tickets. Before I got into real estate, I built a band from playing in backyards to playing in front of 50,000 people. So I've always been an entrepreneur in that respect. And my last name is Harris, and I work for a company called Brown Harris Stevens. So funny enough, people always think I'm one of the owners of Brown Harris Stevens, even though I am running an umbrella, a team of 7 underneath. But I quickly realized that this business is all about what you make it. And the more you embrace who you are and what you love doing within the real estate business, the more quickly you can really brand yourself and find people who like how you think about real estate. So I've always been in businesses that oddly enough don't have that it seemed to attract maybe people with less, fewer scruples or something. Like I used to say the only job I haven't done that people like less is being a meter maid or a tow truck driver. Real estate, the real residential brokers don't always have the best reputation. And it's just so funny because I care so deeply about my clients that it's like we've just said, we're going to elevate service to this level and people are just going to love that. And so we spent our whole career building this business where we're delivering the highest level of service, and that it never occurred to me that I would ever do anything less than that. And so building this business has been all around just having a good time and learning what the best way to serve our clients.
You mentioned your team. You have 7 members on your team. I'm going to talk about team building in a moment, but let's take a quick look at the Harris residential team. So that is the Harris residential team at Brown Harris Stevens. I want to ask you, what are your thoughts about teams in general? There was a time when there was kind of like, should I team? Should I not team? I believe in team building. I don't think I could have the level of business that I have right now. I know for a fact that I couldn't without having the right team without doing the right hiring and having the right people in the right seats and nurturing talent and also realizing people's limitations and strengths. What are your thoughts about teams?
Well, what I would say, Cathy, is your business like maximizes to the level of your systems. So as a kid, I was like, I definitely had it, but didn't know it. I was diagnosed later in life with ADHD, and I was very lucky to have people in my life to help me figure out structures and systems around homework and planners and all the systems that would help you move things forward. So I was always very, very organized. And at the same time, as I realized my business was growing, the first thing I needed was an assistant to guide me in all of the administrative so I could continue to go out and do the business development. And then from there, you realize, okay, I'm doing really well at this thing. In order for me to grow, I need to add this person. And I've made so many mistakes in hiring. And the clearer you are over time, then you are able to add someone that really adds value. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I need to add another person to help service this. And it is an imperfect process, Cathy. I strongly suggest to entrepreneurs, if you're thinking about how to grow my business and you have to have this perfect plan, you're sailing the ship and the wind is blowing you, this way and that, and you have to keep, moving, tacking that sail. It is definitely not a straight line to build a team. But as over time, you realize who are the right people to hire, who are the people. Salespeople are always, as they say, very crazy, and you have to manage all that. So it's really an adventure. I love it. I mean, it's all, as much as I love my clients and the people that we're working for, I approach it, who I have to show up to be a great leader for my team. It helps us run the way we engage with our clients even better. I have to say, because I have to be this professional guy for my team, caring, loving all the time. And then that infuses the relationships we have with our clients.
You talked about systems. Don't worry, everyone. We're going to get to some of Scott's tips on that in a little bit. But I want to talk about hiring, because
Yes.
that in large part is a fear for a lot of, I've made mistakes as well. I think that one of the best blend for me in my business is to have a bench, not just to rely on one individual, but to have individuals who are supported in tandem, who can each pick up the baton and pick up a task, as opposed to not. And I think that's when things really fall through the cracks. There has to be some sort of synergy between these 7 people that are on your team.
Right. So what I would say is the team building part, that's really the part of team building that doesn't get addressed, I think, enough in real estate setting, because we have a lot to do. We have listings to show. Right now we have about 25, we'll have at any given time, we'll have between 20 and 25, 30 listings, and they're in various stages of, they're getting ready to go to market, we're showing them and so forth. But so there's always things to do for everybody's got their responsibilities. The part that gets overlooked, I think, as you build a team, Cathy, is the glue. What holds the team together? What makes one member of the team care about another member of the team? How do you create that team culture? How do you nurture that? And so we have a stand-up meeting. Some people call it a team huddle. There are lots of names for it, but we have on our calendar every single day of the week time set so that we have, most mornings, it's a 20-minute huddle. We talk about what are we grateful for and what are we proud of in our business, personal life. We all get to know each other. And then that glue carries us, in times that are maybe more challenging, or times when we've just been burning it so hard we need to have a couple of days of vacation, that somebody can pick up the ball and they do it gratefully because the other person's helped them. And so I would say that's the foundational part of the team building. Do you want me to talk a little bit more about hiring right now?
Oh, I think that would be great, because I think that you can't do a productive business by yourself. It's just impossible. And one of the things that you brought up is, as the owner of that business, how should I best be spending my time? It's kind of like the boss in the office. yes, he could change the water cooler, but it's not the best use of his time. So I have determined that the best use of my time is, building some of those client relationships, making sure that the logistics are done properly, that the orders are done properly, that the tools of the designs and the furniture, the accessories are all together for the design team on my staging company to then be able to do great designs. That it's not necessarily the best use of my time to be on the staging job, but I have to train those people in order for them to be empowered. So that to me is something that trickles down to every entrepreneur to determine who's that glue, as you say, and then making sure that those team members all work together.
Right. So where I would go with that in terms of the there's some myths, that entrepreneurs, and I'm so guilty of this. I've been so guilty, is that in thinking that you can do everything better yourself. You can approach it from the other side and ask yourself, what do I do really, really well? And go down that list, like all the things that I do really, really well, and then ask yourself, are there any of these things that I shouldn't be doing? Because then you can start to pare away the parts of the process that someone else can do, that you can train someone to do. Someone put it very well to me years ago that you have an amazing doctor. The doctor needs to do their thing, and the doctor is never taking his own appointments. The doctor is never waiting in the lobby and schmoozing with the guests, the patients as they wait. And so if I focus on what I'm really good at, which is really getting to know people and finding opportunities to help people buy and sell, and then also really in the strategy of how to make sure that when they find their dream home, that we make it happen, that's really where I shine. And then I want to be able to train my team to handle other things. But it really is mostly as an entrepreneur, it's letting go of control, which is the scariest thing as an entrepreneur, because what got me where I was is that I'm just super tenacious and obsessed, absolutely obsessed with delivering high level of customer service. And so letting go is so scary.
We have to clone ourselves. I want you to share some of your tips as to how you really upped your game. Everyone, we're talking about how to 10x your business. And you said that you created a clear brand, you increased your marketing efforts, you created a strategic marketing plan, you launched a thought leadership campaign. I think that that's great. That's what we're doing here today, folks. Webinars, classes, videos, launched a drip campaign and newsletters, and you hired a business coach. I'm a huge fan now, and a speech coach. We're going to leave this up because I want you to go through each one, because all of these are so great for an entrepreneur.
Great. Well, first and foremost, we created a clear brand. We sat down with a brand strategist. We talked about what are the things that we're really good at? What are the things that people talk about when we leave the room, right? That's your brand. I'm not the sharpest edged like shark. I'm somebody who wants to create win-win situations. I want to make people happy. I want people to love where they live. And so we're really focused on getting the clarity behind our brand and what we bring to the table that separates us. All of my relationships, I have relationships that go back now for 20 years in real estate. I leverage those relationships. The very first rental person I ever found an apartment for, I sold an apartment for years later. That's the strength of the relationships that I build. Once you're in my world, I'm marketing to you forever, and I care about you forever. I want to know all of those things. So we got really clear on our brand. And then in terms of our marketing efforts, even when the market was slower, and by the way, the market goes up and the market goes down, your marketing efforts should not change. So in fact, I think that when the market is down, that's when you double down. That's when you spend a little bit more, because that's when you pick up the market share. Just like in the Depression, more millionaires were minted in the Great Depression than in any time in the United States history. And I think, certainly coming out of different times like the recession of 2008 and so on, we can see that people are some people are winning big time. And we decided we were going to double down. And that's what I think has helped our business the most. So we're talking about spending more money in online advertising. We're spending more money in terms of making our systems better, our CRM, how we're marketing, how the ease of our marketing so that we can be more effective with our time, with everything else. And that included creating a strategic plan with our business, with my business coach, to really lay out what are the things we wanted to do. By the way, I think it's really important to mention, Cathy, that it's not like we had this crystal clear vision of every single thing we wanted to do. We just knew where we wanted to go. Like, we knew where we were headed, and then we are filling in some ways, we had a vision of how much business we wanted to do. We had a vision of how many people it was going to take to get there. And then we just went. Step one, step two, let's try this thing. We get inspired. This thing is working well. This thing might not be working so well. And go from there. We tried it. We took a step. We threw it out there.
So you talked about, you created a strategic plan, a thought, you started your marketing efforts, you created a strategic marketing plan. Talk about the launching of a leadership campaign, webinars, and all that.
Right. About a year ago, we had, even when business is affected by any kind of external factors, I want to give back to my community. So even if it's not about me and my business and look how great we are, sometimes it's just about what we can do for you. So we launched an initiative in our neighborhood to help bring donated items to Goodwill. It was something that nobody was doing, and it was something that was needed. And we got press like crazy. We got more that we were on every major press outlet in the New York area, which was incredible press for us and for our company, which was delighted. They were delighted. It was free from their perspective. It was free press. They could not have been happier. Thought leadership looks like, what can I do in the brokerage community? Because like you said, we have this team and we're delivering, elevating our business to a high level. And in order for us as a brokerage community to be more professional, I have to help everybody. We all can up our game. So thought leadership looks like, what tools do I learn about that I want to share with the brokerage community? What 3D and video tours that are going to be part of our business forever are people not yet using? How are buyers going to be inspired to move on into their next home unless they know for sure they're seeing everything? So a lot of thought leadership has been focused on the brokerage community, so just to elevate everybody's game. Because if I'm clear on my brand and I know that we're going to do a ton of business and we just have to be organized and have our catching mitts on, it's not about being in competition with the other brokers. We are good. We're going to get our share of business and more. It's really about in not thinking about it as competition. It just works better. We're just more open to all of the ideas of how to grow our business, and we don't worry about what somebody else is doing. But we are actually happy to share it, because nobody can do it exactly like we do it. If you're an entrepreneur, nobody can do it like you do it. You have there's something about you that's special. So it's a totally different approach. It's much more fun to not be worried about whether so and so is doing something better or worse than you. Just do you, as they say, right?
Let's talk about drip campaigns and newsletters.
Sure.
Are those working?
They're working. I mean, sometimes it's hard to measure exactly where what thing is really kicking the business up. Except I know that we're on target to do triple our business. And that's already built on such a great foundation. So we're delighted. But the drip campaigns are, let's just put it this way: New York is a very noisy place, and in order to cut through that noise, you have to deliver pretty serious. And so the drip campaigns are these professional videos that we had done that really express who I am and who our team is in a powerful, short little nugget that I think does enhance the experience when we can, in that moment, get people excited about what might be next for them.
Before we go to some of those videos, which are absolutely fabulous, I really love them. did you get a speech coach? How did you kind of make yourself professional for these videos?
It's funny. I always thought I love being on camera. I really do. Like, it's really fun. Like, this is, anytime I can be on in front of a screen, I was always a ham as a kid on stage and performing and everything else. One of my clients, an old client who I love, called me one day. He said, Scott, you say, and have you ever listened to yourself on video? And he had never said anything like this. And I was floored. I took the feedback and I said, thank you so much for being honest with me. And he said, I've just, in my own business, worked with this speaking coach, and maybe you could benefit like I did. It really helped me with my presentations. And so I met with this guy through Zoom, because that's just the easiest way to do it sometimes, and learned all of these little nuggets on how to loosen up and just be yourself. And what he said was, just have a conversation with the camera. Like, you and I are just having a conversation. And there's nothing that needs to be so formal or dressy or anything about it. And I think ultimately that's the fun of it. I don't know why this is doing what it's doing, but there you go. Welcome to
what made you say to yourself, I need to do this for my business? What brought you to that point?
I was shooting a lot of video. Every single month, what I realized I've been doing a monthly newsletter for 10 years. That's an email newsletter. And I love it. I love writing. And at some point I decided, I love being on camera. It's much more fun to talk about it sometimes. It gets much more across, just like we're doing here. And so I was doing it on and on and on. And I realized I was feeling a little stiff. Sometimes I wasn't even smiling, and I wasn't engaged in the way that I do with my clients. And so when he said it, it just clicked. I said, you are absolutely right. I want to talk to this guy. And he was it felt very natural. It was so freeing to have someone just say, Scott, just have a conversation with whoever you're in front of. If you're in front of 50,000 people, it's just a conversation. If you're doing on camera, it's just a conversation. The stakes were brought down so much.
You are so conversational. One of my favorites is virtual buyer. And you have decided to take all your listings virtual. So let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Scott Harris, and I'm here at the forefront of the evolution of real estate brokerage. In the beginning, all you had was a price, an address, and a lackluster result.
Since when does man cave mean an actual cave?
Over time, floor plans and color photos gave you a clearer snapshot of your options, but you still never got the full picture.
This says there's 5 bedrooms.
So where are we now? The future. The Harris Residential team's visionary brokerage method is simple. We listen to your needs and combine that with our proprietary technology, experience, and market trend insight to find you your dream home. With virtual touring, you can do as many viewings as you like on your own time without an agent present. And when you're ready to do an in-person visit, the majority of your questions have already been answered. In the end, our expertise, intuition, and honesty will guide you the rest of the way. Buying an apartment doesn't have to be hard. In fact,
it's virtually a cinch.
So let's get started today. The Harris Residential team, helping you find the home of your dreams by tomorrow.
That is one of my absolute favorites. Did you hire an ad team to do that? Just, it looks like it's storyboarded. And also, how do you use this? Where does it run?
I'm glad you like it, so thank you for that. We hired a video team that we met that had done a ton of inspiring fundraisers. I think what they told me is they had already raised, their videos had raised over $40 million for nonprofits. And in my view, what we do is so from the heart, and what we're trying to reach people at on that level. We loved what they were doing. We loved how they were going to help us. We did storyboard it. And we had a lot of fun. We were in this moment where we just wanted to have some fun with what we were doing. All of the 3D technology, all of the video tech is so mature and the production quality is so high that it became just a blast. We filmed one day, and then they went and animated me, which was a hoot as well. My kids
Is that your idea to do the animation? I love the animation. That's what I really, really like. It's you, but not you.
Yeah, it's me. We had a lot of fun deciding how I was gonna. Did the chin look like me enough, Daddy? That
Barry Chisel or Rock Hudson look.
Right, Daddy, you need way more wrinkles than that. That's what my kids would say. But in terms of where it runs, we play that in front of clients to let them know that we're, how we're thinking about the brokerage community, how we're thinking about how we market, how we're thinking about buyers and what their buyer behavior is. And we're running it on our drip campaigns. We're running it in our on our website so people can come. And I don't think anyone is doing this in the same way that we are. And that's, maybe they are, but we're just having a lot of fun, and we're pushing the brokerage community into the 21st century in a way that I don't think anyone is. We're really trying to elevate the experience of, because technology has done that for every other industry. And so I think so many entrepreneurs have great tools at their disposal to do similar things with their business.
Now, are you running them on social media? Let's say like an Instagram or a Facebook page?
We have been running them on Facebook. We've been running the ads on Google to see where we get the best response.
Now, when you say Google specifically, what does that mean?
We run Google ads, so AdWords, things like that.
And so what's interesting to me and powerful is the fact that you're really educating the consumer. Let's take a look at one of your videos in which you educate the consumer on technology versus reality.
Have you ever walked into an apartment that looked completely different than what you saw online? Technology is supposed to make your home search easier. Yet, do you ever get the feeling that you're not getting the whole story? What can't you see? What are the best deals? And most importantly, how do you get there first? This is the insight that you need and more to make confident, informed decisions. I'm Scott Harris, and that is what my team will do for you. We have a proprietary buying process and 2 decades of relationships in the brokerage community. So you get early access and your offers are taken seriously. Most importantly, it means that you won't miss out on your dream home. That is our commitment to you. Schedule time to speak with me and my team, and you'll get the full picture. You'll also learn what visionary brokerage is all about.
So let's say that a print ad, to me, it wouldn't be as powerful to go through the same messaging. People get to see, touch you, see what you look like, get a sense of you, your personality. That to me is why video is so powerful. With my company, people stage with us. As you know, I own a home staging company. They get a broker tour, a virtual experience tour, and a 360 experience. And we have so many agents that say, I just want to show the property. Don't show me. And I'm thinking, why would you not want to associate your face with your own name and your own brand?
It baffles me too. I think it's an opportunity wasted. I've worked with entrepreneurs of all stripes, doctors and plumbers and dentists and people in media. It's all about you and your personality, and how does that come through in whatever you're doing? So here I am, I'm in a suit, because that's the easiest, really, thank God for suits, because I don't have to think about what I want to put on every day, but it works, and I get to walk around apartments and show it off and talk about things. We had a really fun, Cathy, when we were first starting to do this, we were watching all the other videos that had like, so-so music and whatever, and we were doing tours, and we decided, let's have some fun and do it like it's a golf on TV, and do like the golf narration, like really, this is low and he's about to make the putt, and go into the room, and that was sort of funny for a while, but we realized like it was more fun if you're on screen, just being engaging, pointing here, pointing there, not trying to be too buttoned up or formal, just relaxing and showing the property, and that works really well, and it's much more engaging. I actually last year did a tour of my apartment. My wife filmed me, and phones are really great. Like you can really get the quality is so good, and 4K in a lot of cases. And she filmed it, and it ended up on one of the major real estate press outlets called The Real Deal. And I would say that thing got thousands and thousands of views. I've never gotten more feedback from clients and friends to say, wow, Scott, you were so fun to watch walking around the apartment. And it wasn't that I had a script prepared. It really is just speaking from what you know. And in this case, I know real estate.
Well, you and I certainly know the power of video. And a lot of people say, well, how can I get this done? Well, we've, our spouses have been impromptu camera people more times than we can ever count. You can use a selfie stick, you can use whatever. But I want to also ask you really quickly about how this all ties into your message, which is why you're using some of the videos in some ways, a visionary brokerage. So you have a platform, you have your own business at Brown Harris Stevens, and it's about visionary brokerage. What does that exactly mean?
Visionary brokerage starts with the premise that your home is the most tangible expression of who you are now and who you want to become. So that's the premise. And so for us to help you and help understand and unlock and reveal what that vision is of home for you, it requires us to leverage our wisdom that's happened from 20 years of doing this, deeply listening to really deeply understand who you are and what you're about. And then it opens up the insight into what would work perfectly for you. And ultimately, it all results in this vision of home. We've always found the most success is when we create a space where people feel safe to reveal what their biggest dreams are. When they come, this is New York. We're doing real estate in the biggest, best city in the country, where people come to explore and really go for it, really go for like their biggest, baddest dream. And so the people that we're working with are up to major things. And so when we create a safe space for them to have a real vision of home, that's where all the juice is. That's the energy. That's where it happens. So calling it visionary brokerage is exactly what it is. Does that make sense?
It does. And it makes even more sense when we take a look at one of your videos, which is called What Would You Love?
Oh, yeah.
What if you could have your dream home, all that you ever wanted? What would it look like? What would you love? Our work with you begins by developing that vision. You can have your dream home and everything you want at a price that works. I'm Scott Harris. My team and I would love to work with you. Click the Schedule an Appointment button. We'll arrange a time to listen and understand what you would love so that we can make it real. That's what Visionary Brokerage is all about.
So before we talk about that video, I actually want to take a look at a second video that's similar. It's called Your Dream Home.
Great job in starting down the bold path of finding your dream home, because the real estate market has come to you. In this crazy time, finding your dream home is also a great business decision wherever you're looking in New York City. I'm Scott Harris. My team and I have sold over $750 million of New York City real estate over the last 2 decades, and no market has ever looked like this. Like 50% of you out there, I grew up as a child of divorce. And so, finding your dream home is our sacred mission. With wisdom, insight, and care, your home search can be easy. Click the Schedule an Appointment button and we can get started on leading you home, which is what Visionary Brokerage is all about. So
another great video, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty. I know someone's asking, how much does all this cost? And we don't have to talk dollars and cents. This is an investment. Are you seeing a return on your investment? Are you getting more business?
Yes, you're getting a lot more business. And the good news is that it costs so much less than you think. What do you try? Here's the thing. You don't have to do 6 videos. You don't have to do 10 videos. You don't have to do an animated video. Start with your camera. Start doing things that are free. Start uploading things to YouTube. There are so many things, Cathy, but to answer your question, the investment is not just in, yes, we're winning business and we're impressing clients. Hopefully, that's going to continue. And that's one of the things we're just delighted about. But I also want to say that it not only does it grow the business through the actual efforts of it, but when we're creating it, it actually changes the way you think about your business. It helps you up-level your mentality about how you perceive yourself. I'm a professional. I'm worthy of doing these beautiful professional videos. So sometimes it's like when you spend more money on that suit that you want, because that's really what's going to up-level your game. There was actually a fun article I read, like if you had $2,000, what would you spend it on? And it was like that suit, the shoe, they went through a whole thing that helped as an entrepreneur that's going to motivate you and think about yourself in a much more professional way.
Have you found that these videos are something that separate you from your competitors, from your competition? And have you found that they also impress clients and customers?
Well, first, I don't know that we're not thinking about the brokerage community as someone that people that we're competing against necessarily, because there are some people doing video that we love their videos and their style is quite different. But I know that we are among a very, very small number of entrepreneurs in the residential brokerage community in New York that are doing this kind of thing. What I will say is that sellers really want to know that you're doing every single thing possible. And so when you can deliver on, I'm doing this, it feels really good to say that you're not just making it up. You're like, here's this video and look at this and you can see this. And here's the success story when we did this video, because the buyer bought the apartment sight unseen because they were so impressed with the quality of the video.
How do you come up with your topics for your videos?
Oh, I sit and meditate, Cathy, and then it just comes to me. No, I some of it, actually, that's not all.
It's not a bad idea.
That's not a bad idea. What I mostly do is we start to articulate what our values are. We start to talk about, and by the way, the getting to talk about the market every month on newsletters and getting to teach. I do a lot of teaching. I'll do presentations for, say, a whole team of wealth advisors, or I'll speak in front of the brokerage community. Let's say 60 brokers who are going through a training course. So all of that speaking inspires me to think about where's the market today. And in doing that, it's like an evergreen source of what I want to talk about. So at any given time, the market's constantly adjusting. And so there's always something new to share. And I'm always learning new ways to run the business. Nothing ever stays the same. Thank God for that.
I want to talk again, just because I think it ties into your videos and the educational aspect of your videos, which is you've really embraced systems and technology. How has that helped you to 10x your business?
The systems that we have, the hardest part about running a business these days is, as an entrepreneur where I'm running a team, is that I'm always in the field. So we have to have systems in place to be able to go out and do business and then also make sure we're in communication with everyone. So part of, I think, a really critical thing that's helped us launch our business is the customer relationship manager. They call it a CRM. You can start with something that costs nothing, like an Outlook, or you can build up to many other systems that work well. That system alone has allowed us to stay organized, to run reports. The way I set it out for my team as I grew it, I said we needed to be easy to adopt, scalable, so we can add more people to our team, and that it empowers the team to make money. to make more money, so that it's not just I have to do this thing. And so we have enough administrative staff. We have 2 people in the office to keep it organized. Really, one is an operations guy to really make sure our systems are great, and we talk every single day. And his admin, his right hand, that takes care of so many things. And then the team, the sales team. So when we can free up the sales team, get them excited through our team meetings, and then launch them in. Those systems, that CRM, and then all of the associated email marketing tools that we're doing, and then all of our deal trackers, the deal trackers where we can actually week in and week out actually celebrate where we are. We know to the minute, what to the penny, where our business is, and we can get excited that we're actually moving towards our goals.
Let's talk about a CRM just for a moment, because I wasn't using one for my business for years and years and years. It really is a powerful tool. For those of you out there who don't know what a CRM is, Scott, if you could describe what this customer relationship management system is and how you specifically use it as an entrepreneur.
Well, I want you to imagine that in your phone, you have every single person that you talk to, all their phone numbers, maybe their email addresses, and then you lose your phone and it's not backed up. Your life is over, right? I mean, that having that fear, is what, I think pushes a lot of entrepreneurs into getting more organized. Like, I can't believe, like, if something happens to this phone, it's over. As I was building my business very early in my real estate career, and really frankly before that, when I was in the music business, the only way to stay organized was to have every contact in a system. So it's very simple. It's okay, this person, their email, hopefully their mailing address, all of their information in one place. And it's gotten more sophisticated over time, and it's gotten less expensive. And then in doing that, you're able to know, when is their birthday? When was the anniversary of when they bought their apartment? When do we get in touch with them? How do we market to them? How do we put them into different buckets so that we send them information that's really helpful for them, that it's not just one size fits all marketing? And then we create buckets around, are they thinking about selling? Are they thinking about buying? How are we going to market to them? So the CRM is as simple as all of a person's information in one place. And then it enables you to, all of your marketing, all of your efforts grow from there.
Well, you also mentioned earlier about in 10Xing your business that you also retain the services of a business coach. I think that that's a really important conversation for entrepreneurs. I didn't have a coach for years. I poo-pooed coaching. I thought it was really for people who weren't successful. And I now have a whole different approach to coaching. For me, my coach is like my guardian angel. She is there for every step of my business, and she coaches us as a team. And I think that has made our team better. And I really want you to talk about coaching and how it can help the entrepreneur.
Well, first, I always say, if it's good enough for Michael Jordan to have a coach, and it's good enough for me.
That's right.
Like the number one top performing athlete ever in the history of the world has a coach. Certainly everybody else could benefit, maybe even more. So I started from the premise of, I can't do this myself. My own ideas are going to be great, but the key to the business coach is that the business coach helps you get into the most creative state possible. So my work with my business coach is to stay really focused on what matters, get really into this wonderful, like, revved up state where I can come up with my own ideas about what's next. So initially, again, it's just like what I'm doing for my clients. We're laying out a really crystal clear vision of what I want to do with my business in the future. So I'm dreaming big, and then I'm focusing small. Dreaming big, focusing small. And so it's the accountability that an entrepreneur needs to wake up every day and do the thing. So on the regular basis, you have to look face to face with this person that you're paying probably a lot of money to be able to they're holding you to account with love, right? They're creating a space that you feel safe to pour out all your business problems, but mostly to just stay in this creative, you're creating the next idea. You're creating the next initiative for your business. Something's not working. You're creating the thing that you're going to try next.
But there has to be a team buy-in too.
Well,
The people on your team have to buy into this as well.
Well, right. We were talking, I think we kind of veered off this idea of hiring, right? So the mistake that entrepreneurs make, and woe have I made my share of this, is not articulating my vision enough to the people I'm bringing into the team. I know that I need upbeat go-getters who love people, who are energized by engaging with other people, and who are willing to take risks and be vulnerable and try things and get a little woo-woo about what it is to run your business. Because things happen and you think they come out of nowhere, but they come when you're like, call it miracles or call it whatever you want to call it. But if you have someone on your team who doesn't buy in, they're not rowing in the same direction. And so we've had that. We've had people that like say, "Oh yeah, Scott, like all your visionary brokerage, that sounds good," but then they don't buy it. And you're like, if you don't buy it, like, thank you so much for being here, but it's like, it doesn't make sense to be on the team. So I do think that bringing people on the team with them knowing full well that they're in for having some fun. I've never had more fun doing my business than I have today. And believe me, there have been times when my business was doing fabulous, but I didn't enjoy it. Right? So now I'm doing well and I'm having a great time in the same time.
You also have to recognize early on that this person or person shouldn't be on the team. And they say hire slow, fire fast. In order to really make sure, and you're never going to get the right mix unless you bring on the right people to begin with. But what you said, and I believe, you can't do it by yourself. And if you really want to 10x your business, if you really want to grow, it is about team building. I believe it's about coaching as well. I want to ask you, you mentioned about having a speech coach. I'm curious, did you do any on-camera training at all?
The camera, because there's so many opportunities, Cathy, for me to put myself out. It's funny, I'm willing to just throw myself out there. Maybe it's going to be good this month. Maybe it's not going to be as good. I sent a lot of real performances. This is the video that I put out and sent to 15,000 people. What do you think? And I'll send this to the coach. So there was definitely on camera. I would be in front of this screen, and he would be on the other side giving me pointers of what I could do more. How could I open up? How could I engage in a much more, maybe I was saying too much. Maybe I was pausing too much. Maybe I wasn't engaging. Maybe I wasn't using my hands in a way that needed, that was helpful. But there wasn't as much. I think it was a lot of trial by fire.
Well, we're going to go to one last video, folks, and it's actually one of my favorites, in which you really show your personality. So let's take a look.
I'm Scott Harris from Brown Harris Stevens and the founder of the Harris Residential Team. And for almost 20 years, I've been helping buyers find their dream homes all across Manhattan. People dream big in New York, and they need someone to think big alongside them. And what we do is something called visionary brokerage, where we really listen deeply into what buyers are looking to do. And through that process, we help them find a space that's gorgeous or a space that they can make gorgeous.
I know that smile. Scott, what are some of your final thoughts for entrepreneurs? What do they need to invest in? Is it technology? Is it systems? Is it team building? Is it a coach?
I would say the most important thing that an entrepreneur can do is to make sure that they spend at least a little time every single day working on their business and not just working in their business. What I mean is that there's the day-to-day that you've got to do, you've got to manage the business and so on. But you've got to give yourself a minute to step back and say, wow, this is where my business is today. What's working? What isn't working? What can I do today to move towards a vision of having more freedom to grow Whatever your goal is, you've got to give yourself time to work on your business. And that can represent as technology. That can represent as, hiring a speech coach. There's no one right way or one right direction how to 10x your business. I can tell you, though, that the more you can slow down and really listen to your gut, you're going to hire better, you're going to fire better, you're going to hold yourself to account, you're going to hold your team to account in a way that is so much more powerful. And sometimes the problem I actually had to quit coffee, Cathy, because I was just too, frazzled all the time. Slowing down to speed up is a really powerful message to give to an entrepreneur. Sometimes it's not about running faster. Sometimes it's about slowing down. And I found that more than anything else has probably helped catapult the business to be more thoughtful every day on how to grow the business.
I think taking a time to pause, reflect, and then grow. Scott Harris, licensed associate real estate broker with Brown Harris Stevens in New York City, and one of my closest friends. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. We learned so much. I learned so much, and I am looking forward to seeing you grow even more. And thank you for being here. I'm interior designer Cathy Hobbs. I own Cathy Hobbs Design Recipes and Interior Design, a company based in New York City. And we'll see you next time. Bye, Scott.